Hi, I'm Trisha at Club Scrap, and this is the special edition workshop for the Dahlia remix. So a remix simply means that we had a theme called Dahlia. It was featured for one of our monthly kits, and it was so popular we decided to re-release it as a remix. So this kit makes a total of 8 beautiful pages. I've got my instructions ready to go, and also my kit, which came with a beautiful stencil, some gorgeous ribbons, some fun resin dahlia embellishments, as well as some really nice super flat charms. I really like these, how low dimensional they are. And then we also have a set of 4 of these white scalloped tags, which we'll be using. And then we have all of the papers and cut aparts. So tradition has it that we'll begin by putting all the papers in the order in which we'll be trimming them. We've got a lot of papers to sort here, a total of 18 sheets. So just bear with me while we select all of our prints and planes and get them in the right order. So the first one I want you to find is this purple print. Isn't that beautiful? This is done on white paper, but made to look like it was with white ink on purple paper. It's kind of cool how that works. So just that one sheet face down in the pile. And then this should probably be near the top of the stack. This gorgeous, we're just calling it a pink print. Isn't that beautiful? Just love that. Okay, then our next sheet is just going to be a white plain. You'll notice this is a nice coated stock. It's going to work really well for our stenciling that we'll do later. And then find one yellow. We'll pull that out. And then we're going to take 2 of those dark purple planes. So it's a really deep colored purple. There's one that's a little bit lighter than this, so make sure you grab the darker ones. And then 2 pink planes. That would be these, two pink. So it was 2 purple, 2 pink. And then for the cut aparts, I want you to find, these should be near the back of the stack and are slightly larger than the other pieces. So let's find this one that says "Be Your Own Kind of Beautiful" on it. And then we've got this other one that has the words "A Perfect Picture." Continuing on, let's find the other yellow plain, and we'll get easier and easier as we work our way through the stack here. So a yellow plain, and then this other purple print. So grab that one and put it face down. And then the final pink print face down. A white plain, and this one is the same on both sides, so it doesn't really matter which way it's facing. 2 of the orange planes, and then 2 of the lighter purple color. So that is the entire batch of papers all perfectly ordered. I'm going to stack those up and get my trimmer cleared off so we can begin the trimming process. Nice easy way to start out here. We've got this print going in right side up, and with every cut we'll always stabilize on the clear bar. We're going to find 7 3/4, and if you're new, I just encourage you to use the settings on your YouTube playback to adjust my speed to 0.75 or 0.5. That'll really slow me down. You'll be able to keep up just fine. All right, so 7 3/4, stabilize on the clear bar. Make sure your paper's nice and straight at the top, and then slide down to 4 3/4. So this piece that's in your trimmer base plus the skinnier one next to it, both of these will go in pocket 1 and 2 of your accordion pocket file. And if you don't happen to have one of these, I highly recommend reaching out to us to make one. I do have a video tutorial, and our members have access to that. I also have a starter kit that helps you make this, but it keeps everything organized while we're trimming. Now these papers are 12 inches wide. That's the same width as the file. So I just put my pieces in at an angle like this so I can still see the numbers on the left. Okay, and then this last piece here, that one goes in pocket 7 and 8, also at an angle. Now for this next piece, I want you to place this print into the trimmer so that this large flower is in the upper left corner, and then you have a small bud over here kind of in the middle. And let's trim at 7. And then rotate this piece counterclockwise. So the bold flower is now in the lower left corner, and cut again at 7. All of these pieces are used in layout 3 and 4. So I'll just put those all in that pocket, still kind of at an angle. Now we're moving on to the white. We'll trim for starters just at 6 inches. Now rotate this piece and just cut at 8 4. 8, 4. Gather up the 3 pieces that you just created that are the same size, and those go in pocket 3 and 4. And then this final 6 by 12, I'll cut a little differently. 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. These pieces are just a little skinnier, and they're all going to be used on layouts 5 and 6. So put those in that pocket. And this strip, my friends, is a scrap. All right, here we are with the yellow. This one is the trimming is a little more involved, but I'll just take it one step at a time. What I really recommend is that whenever we trim something, let it pile up to the right of the blade here. Don't move anything. That way I know where everything is. Okay, our first cut is at 11 1/4. And then 10 1/2. 6 1/4. You can now rotate this piece and trim horizontally at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Stack up the two similarly sized, hopefully the same size photo mats. Those will go in 1 and 2, and then there's a smaller rectangle here that will cut at 6 and 3. We are going to be doing a lot of this, these series of cuts. All right, these two pieces are in 7 and 8, and then there is a small scrap involved here. Pick up the next strip to the right of your blade. This is 4 1/4 by 12 right now. And let's cut at 9 3/4, 7 1/2, and 3 3/4. Okay, these two rectangles that are the same, pocket 1 and 2. Now there are two smaller strips right here. I'm going to have you stack them neatly and put them horizontally into your trimmer. And let's cut at 4 and 2. It's going to create a set of 4 rectangles. 2 of them go in pocket 3 and 4, and the other 2 will go in 7 and 8. And there is going to be 2 tiny little scraps, and these 2 strips are used in layout 1 and 2. Now take just one and make sure you only have one sheet of the dark purple. We'll cut this at 10 1/2. And 6 1/4. Rotate. We'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. I mentioned we'd be doing a lot of that, so this is just getting practice. You have 2 the same and then one skinnier one. All of them are placed in 7 and 8. And then the next strip to the right of your blade, we're trim at 6 1/4. Place this piece in the trimmer base in pocket 7 and 8. And then the smaller one in 3 and 4. You also have this skinny strip that's left that goes in 5 and 6, and we'll move on to the next sheet of dark purple. Let's make some paper ribbons. These are just tiny little strips that really add a lot to our pages. So our first cut's at 11 3/4. That's a big number that creates a really tiny little piece. Then 11 1/2, 10 1/4, 9, and then 6 1/4 again. Rotate, and guess what we're going to trim at? The same things, 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Once again, we've made 2 photo mats. These will go in pocket 3 and 4. This skinny one, rather than filing it right away, we're going to trim at 6 and 3. 6 and 3. Take the 2 rectangles, and those are going to go in pocket 5 and 6, and there will be a small scrap somewhere. Mine's, I don't know, somewhere. Okay, now we have this 2 3/4 by 12-inch strip. We'll cut at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. You've got 4 squares here. They all go in pocket 1 and 2. And then there's this smaller rectangle that goes in pocket 3 and 4. We actually rescued that one. And here is that little scrap I was looking for. We'll set that aside. And then you have 2 wider strips. Those are used in 3 and 4. And then we have the 2 skinnies. Those are in 5 and 6. And we're moving on to the pink. Okay, so this is back to our same basic set here. So 10 1/2. And 6 1/4. When we rotate, we're going to cut at the same 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. We've just made 2 more photo mats. Those go in 5 and 6. The next rectangle, we're trimming at 6 and 3 again. And both of these go in pocket 3 and 4. The next strip, this is 4 1/4 by 12 right now. We'll cut at 6 1/4. And this one goes in layout 5 and 6. And the other rectangle, 7 and 8. And we have one larger strip here going into 1 and 2 and a small scrap. Clipping along here, we're off to the last pink. We'll trim at 11 1/2, 11, 9, and 6. Now rotate the 6-inch piece. We'll cut at 8 and 4. Stack up 2 of these pieces that are the same. They're going to go in pocket 1 and 2, and the other one is in 7 and 8. Then this other strip that's currently 3 by 12, we'll trim at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. All 3 of these rectangles are going to be in 1 and 2, and then there is a small piece, not a scrap, it goes in 3 and 4. Okay, oh, I did miss a cut. It looks like I should have cut. Oh, so this is 2 inches wide. I missed a cut here. It should be trimmed also at 1 inch to make 2 1-inch strips. My apologies. One of these goes in pocket 1 and 2, and the other 7 and 8, and then the 2 narrow strips are in 5 and 6. Okay, now we're at the cut aparts, and again, our new method here is to add these hash marks for you to line them up with the edge of your trimmer blade as best as you can to remove approximately 1/8 of an inch from the perimeter of the sheet before we get started. So our goal is to end up with a 12-inch sheet, and even if you have to tilt the paper just a little bit to get it lined up, whatever it takes to kind of trim as accurately as you can on these guides is going to give us the best results with our trimming instructions. So now I'm starting with an exact 12-inch piece, and so I will again reinsert this into the trimmer with the words "Be your own kind of beautiful" on the right. And my first cut's going to be at 10 3/4, then 10 1/4, 9 3/4, 7 1/4, and 3 3/4. Okay, now rotate this piece so it's horizontal, and I'll cut at 11, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, and 2 3/4. Now you'll notice I've just been letting all this stuff pile up, and that's the way we'll do it. We'll tackle it piece by piece and file this first strip together. So the beautiful goes in 1 and 2. This purple tag goes in 7 and 8. This journaling prompt, 5 and 6. The orange, 3 and 4. And then Be Happy and Smile, that's going to go in 5 and 6. All right, so this next strip, make sure the oval is on your right. And we'll cut at 9 and 6 1/2. Now we are going to end up fussy cutting these oval or circles rather, but for now I'm just going to separate them with scissors real roughly so that I can get them deposited into the right pocket, and we'll worry about all the rest of that stuff later. So the let's see, the piece that says Wonder 5 and 6, and then the piece that says Pretty, that goes in 1 and 2. This large single dahlia, that's 1 and 2, and then this multi-floral one, that's going to go in 7 and 8. All right, picking up, let's see, there's a couple more pieces here. This pink dahlia, 1 and 2, and then the purple oval, 5 and 6. Another strip with the word Happy should be on the right, and we'll start at 10, and then 7 1/2, 5, 2 1/2. Okay, now we've just made 4 squares that are the same, and all those are used in pocket 1 and 2, and then the word Happy also ends up in 1 and 2. I put a lot of cut aparts in that one. Okay, so then we have these strips that have the dots, both of them, 1 and 2. And then this other strip, Be Your Own Kind of Beautiful, that's going to be in 5 and 6. Okay, now one more sheet of cut aparts. Let's just complete the exercise on your own of removing the outer perimeter to make a 12-inch sheet. Okay, place this in the trimmer with the borders on the right, and our first cut's going to be at 11, and then 10, 9 1/4, 8 1/2, 7 1/4, and 4. All right, now rotate, and we're going to trim this tag off the end here at 11 and 5 1/2. Okay, this nature tag, that goes in 3 and 4. And then this large dahlia, 7 and 8. And then this little banner, 3 and 4. Okay, now every day has a smile in it. That should be on your right, and we'll cut at 11 1/2, 8 3/4, and 6. Okay, so this wide guy, he goes in 7 and 8. And then these next two, I Dwell in Possibility and the Large Dahlia, both 5 and 6. And then we have this tiny little quote on 3 and 4, so don't lose him. Let's see, as far as strips go, the next 2 strips, Always Believe, and then these dots, 1 and 2. And then the other strip of dots, that's going to go in 7 and 8. And then the remaining 2 strips that match, those will both go in 3 and 4. Okay, that means with those cut aparts finished, that we're done with all of the trimming required to make all 8 pages, which is pretty awesome. And these are the only scraps that you have. So if you really challenged yourself, maybe you could, you know, find a home for them. I wouldn't save these. These are going to go in my circular file. And I'll get rid of my trimmer, and let's begin to dry fit our pages. So I'll have you turn to page 5 of your instructions. We are going to begin by dry fitting, and by dry fit I just mean put the pieces on the page without adhesive so that we can make sure everything's been allocated properly, and then we can work our way from the top back down to the bottom with our adhesive and even our pictures and journaling and titling and everything else you want to add. So the remaining stack of pages has been strategically ordered. So I'm going to stack these up and take the entire pile and put it just to the left of the center of my workspace, and then slide only the top sheet over and to the right, so that now in front of me, the base papers I have are the layouts, the bottoms for page 7 and page 8. And then what we'll do is reach into the very last pocket in our organizer and pull everything out of pocket 7 and 8. And what I like to do is hold the items in my hand and sort of deal them out like a deck of cards rather than picking things up off the table. This just is a little bit easier to see and distribute everything. So the largest strip of that purple print will go flush with the right edge of the page. And then across this bottom of the left page, you're going to have that pink strip nested with the polka dots. Now there is a pink piece along here, and that isn't paper. It actually comes from this beautiful strip of ribbon. So if you wanted to, you could just stretch that across there and trim a piece of the ribbon that is to be used in this location. Just wrap the ends around the back. As far as photo mats go, I have these larger purple mats. So we're going to have 2 horizontal mats on this side, complemented with 1 vertical mat over here. Then we've got the taller pink one. That's going to nest on the left side of this page. So it just carries the pink all the way through this, and then the more short pink one gets nested with this guy. We also had room for this purple cut apart on the right. And one of those scalloped tags will be placed here. And once this is trimmed just with scissors, it can be added to the tag and topped with some ribbon. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. And then we have 2 yellow verticals here. This larger cut apart will nest perfectly onto the dark purple if everything went according to plan. And then the way I have this arranged is I have 2 of those vertical little guys. And then maybe we can move all of this down. And that's kind of how I have this puzzled together. It's really nice spacing and looks balanced. So the finished layouts here with everything done, you see how quick that came together. I did add one of these little resin dahlias, so sweet, that goes right on the top of the tag there. And so you can see how I've topped that scalloped tag with the pink ribbon. I also wrapped some of this gorgeous 7/8 inch two-faced satin around this in a double looped style bow, and there's the pink ribbon running vertically across there. On page 7, everything is pretty much as you saw, and then I just made a standard type of a bow with that wide ribbon. I find that these types of bows work really well if you just, I'll quick show you how I made this one, just in case you're new around here. I just took 2 loops of the ribbon and kind of like bunny ears and just crisscross them. And that creates this tiny loop below. So just run the front loop through the hole and then pull. That is what starts the bow. Now, it's never very pretty at the beginning, but once you start adjusting the length of the ribbon, you can decide what's going to look best on top. You're going to have a really nice looking embellishment for your page. I find that the knots on a bow like this are quite flat. So it's a very nice looking professional embellishment there for that page. Okay, so this is layout 7 and 8. Now would be the time to do, I kind of call it the stack and slide. So take the base, just the one sheet of paper, holding everything on layout 7, and stack it on top of page 8. Then I slide the next piece of paper over on top of that. I'm going to move the bow out of the way. And now I have what I need, hopefully, for layouts 5 and 6. Sure enough, that's what I see here. Now, this doesn't look like a plain white sheet of paper, but it was before I stenciled it. So basically, the stenciling process was done by placing the stencil across the bottom of the page. I used Club Scraps Fuchsia ink in this case. And then I also used one of our ink applicator brushes. I'm just going to mime doing it right now so that it doesn't take up a lot of time to show you, but you can get the idea of how this works. But you'll remove the lid from the pad and you really load your brush with the ink and then just stencil it over the, in a circular motion over the stencil, and it creates that beautiful effect, which I'll show you the end result once we dry fit everything onto this page. So empty pocket 5 and 6. There isn't a whole lot in there. We can make some magic happen with this though. Now across, let's see, again, it's so much easier if you can just hold everything in your hand. Across the right side of this print, I hated covering up so much of this print, it's so beautiful. I'm adding that row of 3 skinny, these are 3 3/4 by 6 inch mats, and that 3 3/4 height allows me to space those beautifully. And then I'm going to section this out with a pink strip and then that really skinny purple strip, followed by a vertical pink mat. And then we've got a journaling prompt. We always try to design at 4 journaling prompts, 1 for each double page spread. And then that gets complemented with a scalloped tag and then the cut apart that's designed to nest right on top of that. Now for the left side of the layout, I've got this dark purple strip nested with this guy, and then 2 vertical fuchsia or pink mats. And then we're going to nest again. So we're copying what we did on the other side of the layout with this. We've got these perfectly fitting dark purple mats that will nest with these tags. Now, once you trim away the corners of the tag, nest it onto the purple mat and then trim those away as well at an angle. And then you can remove this from its white base if you like, and then tuck that behind there and balance it out down over here. You can add a Dahlia silver charm just to the left edge of this. And I was successful not trimming this, but using my corner chomper on the 1/2 inch setting to remove the corners from this tag. So that's just a little tip for you in case you have a corner chomper. All right, that was layout 5 and 6. Let me show you the finished versions now. We've got the 3 in a row. I used my grid ruler to help level and center all the pieces. This is the trimmed circle, and I just did this with my scissors. I mean, it's not perfect, but you wouldn't ever notice because it's layered onto the white tag, and then just topped it with some of that pink ribbon. Really sweet. And then for page, what is this? 5, here we have the stenciling, and it adds so much to this layout. I absolutely love the stencil. Can't wait to play with it some more. And then there's that little charm and the resin piece, and both of those were adhered with our bookbinding glue from a needle tip applicator. Okay, so I'm going to slide, stack that on here, and then slide again, which brings us very efficiently to layouts 3 and 4. So I'll take everything out of that pocket and just place it in the palm of my hand. Lots of little pieces here. And you will also need to turn to the previous page of instructions to see layout 3 and 4. So that's the bottom of that page. Across the top here on the left, I'm going to put this piece flush with that top edge. And then to sort of differentiate our space, I'll add one of the dark purple strips here, nested with our title that just says a perfect picture. Nice. Okay, then along the bottom, there's this 5x7. So you could leave it as it is, or what's going to draw our eye to it even more is to add this nested purple mat. So we have a white that fits on top of the purple all together there on the left. And then we're going to wing out from there with our journaling prompt, and then a small scrap that will turn into a little banner. Then along the top, we're kind of doing the same thing in that non-printed area. I only felt comfortable covering that. And then this will get trimmed from the white so that you can only see the orange. And then this actually is going to sit behind it, and I'll show you in a minute how I upcycled that scrap to complement this. And then there's even a little quote that says, "Every day has a smile in it." That should fit right into there once you add darts into the quote. Across the bottom of the page here, we've got this gorgeous print with a vertical mat. I also added some orange ribbon across there, and then 2 angled pink accent photos for the top. A vertical strip with a cut apart, and then this nests onto here so perfectly. If you want, you can use scissors to just cut a little curve into the top of the tag, top it with one of the resin dahlias, and then in the lower right corner we'll complement with these 2 yellow guys. So from our finished pages, here is layout number 4. And I also punched a hole in the top of this and threaded it with the orange ribbon and just taped the ends to the back. Like a 2-inch piece is all I used to give the idea of something strung from that, and then added the resin charm here. And then you can see how I just ran the ribbon across on the print. I just didn't want to cover it. It's so pretty. A lot going on here on the left side. You can see how I've just cut the points into these 3 pieces and layered this one on top. This one wasn't long enough to reach, so it just is only a shorter faux layer. And ran this all the way across here behind my photo, and then the other pink scrap down there. Here's my scalloped tag and my round cut apart, which obviously I didn't run across, but that's around here somewhere. So that would be the last element used, is to finish the tag with some stapled ribbon and then the pretty. Okay, now take this, stack it, slide. Now we have the base for layout 1 and 2 right in front of us, and empty pocket 1 and 2, and that's going to mean that the whole entire pocket system is empty. Hooray! Got a lot going on here in the palm of my hand, and if you can do this, if you have the dexterity in your hands to hold it like this, it just makes it so much easier. The widest piece going on the left edge, flush, and then we'll just transition with a pink strip and the larger dotties. And then across the top, we're going to take this wider pink strip, and then that should nest with, I always believe something wonderful is about to happen. How about a vertical yellow side by side here, and then we should have 2 pink that fit right inside. Now from the cut aparts, we had these 2 pink ones. Let's see, we have this larger Dahlia image and then a smaller one that says happy. Now in between those, I added a tag along with this circle. I see that I misfiled this pretty. That should have been on the other page. So yes, this goes to page 3 and 4. And that's one of the reasons why we do this dry fit, is I can go back and go put it right there and I'm good to go. Okay, then now on the right side, I'm going to just start by putting this in the middle, and above and below it, just take one of the plain yellow strips and then nest it with the dots. And if you want, you can swap the direction of the color of the dots. Across the bottom, there's going to be a set of 3 pink mats. So what you'll do is just put that strip right above it, and it should give you all this really nice spacing. Then across the top, 2 horizontal yellow and a vertical, and then that area is all filled in. Now across this area, I have a set of 4 2 3/4 inch squares to nest with a set of 4 2.5 inch squares. And that's all the pieces that I have out of pocket 1. Isn't that awesome? So taking a look at those finished pages, we've got page 2. Some details here would be that I've added the charm again with bookbinding glue. For these, just take a 2-inch, and I basically used the ribbon that I'd had left over from all the other ribbon applications I'd done, and I divided it into 4 sections, and they were just 2 inches each. I folded the ribbon in half, and then I sandwiched it between the cut apart and the paper, and then I attached all of these with my foam adhesive circles just to add some nice dimension. Love how this looked. I could have distributed all these elements onto different pages, but I just kind of liked having them in the set. And one other thing you'll notice too is that I did round the corners of the cut aparts and the mats on the 1/4 inch setting on the corner chomper, or you could use any corner rounding punch for that. On page 1, finish that off with my new little trick of just running ribbon through the hole of the tag and taping it to the back like a little short piece. And then I made a small bow using the same method I showed you with the yellow. Do the same thing with this pink and slap that on there. I did mount this onto the page with foam adhesive circles and then added this cute little silver charm with my bookbinding glue. And that is layout number 1. That concludes the Dahlia page assembly. So once you have this ready to go, you can pack this up into a bag and work on it later, or you can just right away start adhering things and have these pages ready for your pictures. A lot of times we use these bags for storing all of the kits on their way to ship to you. So if you want to reload the bag in an easy way, take the bag with the sticky side of that flap facing up and facing your work surface, and just stick that right onto your work surface, kind of around the middle. That way you flip the bottom of the bag up, and then the mouth of the bag is open to you to load. So then you can take this whole stack of pages and slide it in. Now if you're planning on going into a crop or something, if you have your pages prepped this far and you show up at a crop with your adhesive, maybe your ruler and some just basic supplies, plus a brick of photos, you will be the most productive person at your crop, because all of the thinking and concentrating is complete, and now all you have left to do is the fun of assembling all of your prepared and planned pages. After that, just add your pictures, and then you can win the prize for the most layouts completed in a weekend. I hope you enjoyed this Dahlia collection. It's just a nice bright spot in my day. I hope it's the same for you, and I will see you again soon.